the Emo Hour. Your weekly power hour of all things emo and adjacent. With your hosts, Katie and Nani.
Hello and welcome to the Emo Hour. It's your host, Nani, with my good friend, Katie. Hi, Katie.
What's up? You're in a different state again.
I know, sorry. The life of a vagabond. Is that the right? I don't even know what a vagabond means, actually. I shouldn't use that word since I don't know what it means. A traveler?
I think it's a traveler. It reminds me of Miranda Lambert's song, Highway Vagabond. So, yeah, I think it means probably like a hippie type traveler.
Okay, I'll take it. Well, from one vagabond to another, how's your week and what's making you emo this week?
Well, what's making me emo this week is that it was Easter. It was also like closing weekend here at Sun Valley and 420. So lots of things to celebrate depending on what kind of life you're living at the moment. And my life was celebrating Easter. So, but I will say my daughter's 2.5 now. Sun Valley does a huge Easter egg hunt every year that we've been to for the last 3 years. And it's kind of chaotic and is over in like 30 seconds to a minute because it's just chaos. So we went to that and that was fun, but also just chaotic. And then my mom was in town and she did her own, we called it Grandma Becky's private Easter egg hunt, where it was my daughter and just a friend that hunted for like, I don't know, 24 maybe eggs that my mom hid. And that one was so much more enjoyable. And we were just kind of like, we should just do that next year. A couple friends. It's not like, it was cute to be able to watch them wander and take a little bit of time, rather than the Sun Valley one is just like the whistle blows or whatever to start, and then it's just like, ah!
Did she get knocked over by any like older kids?
No, they have them separated out by age groups. And she's in the age group where all the parents are like, moving their kids around. So I picked her up a couple times to get her closer to eggs so she had a chance. But she's on the older end of that. But we made it through and it was fun to go and see a bunch of other kids her age, get really excited. And she was so fascinated with the Easter Bunny, which was funny. She just stared at the Easter Bunny that was there, a human, an adult human in a costume.
Like a very large Easter Bunny.
And I got some adorable photos of her with the bunny. But her fascination was pretty amazing. Other kids were going and taking pictures, and Reagan was just staring like, what is that?
It's I'm sure it was 420 too. So I wonder if there was also some adults doing the same thing that she was.
Maybe. Well, that hunt was on Friday, so it was
okay.
Before actual 420. But yeah. The 420 itself was Easter Sunday. So, like I said, especially if you're Sun Valley and it was closing weekend, lots of things to celebrate, just depending on what life you're living.
Choose your own adventure. I have to say that I saw the photo that you're referencing of your daughter with the Easter Bunny, and I've shared it I haven't sent it to people, but the people that I'm with, I've shown so many like older adults here, and they all just melt when they see it because it is so cute.
Yeah, both her and her friend Jax were both smiling, and for 2-year-olds to both be smiling, I was just like, that's a winner, man. That doesn't happen.
No, it does not. It does not happen.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I'm glad to hear that. So what's making you emo this week?
So what's making me emo this week is, and it's pretty much what our podcast is about, is a kind of a recap of my trip to Coachella and kind of just the general recap of the last 2 weekends of Coachella and the emo and punk and alternative music within it. But for me, it was being back in really big crowds of people, and it's kind of a twofold. One, I forgot how much I do not like being in and around massive quantities of people. And these festivals, they're huge. It's like the first weekend is maybe like 125 or 120,000 people on the grounds. And then the second weekend tends to sell a little bit less. I guess they sold like 115 last weekend, and I think they were around the 100 mark for this weekend. It was so many people, Katie.
Yeah, I
But
can't imagine. How many stages are there?
a lot. Let's see, there's two like main stages, and then there's one, two, three, four. There's probably like nine, maybe in total, nine or 10, like nooks and crannies where they're doing stuff.
Right.
But I mean, it's just a lot, and it's such a big festival ground because they have to make sure that these stages are far enough away from each other so they're not getting sound bleed. And
Right.
I walked 20,000 steps on average each day, and I wasn't even there for the whole day both times. So it was a lot. But the positive thing about being around these large quantities of people is what made me emo is that like just being around music lovers and being around Weekend 2, which is much more less about social media and posting content and more about the music and actual fans, and being around other people who are losing their shit for the same artist that I was losing my shit for. It
Right.
just being around that energy, it just felt so good because as we both know, like we try to fit as much of that into our life as possible, but we don't get it all day every day, or it's not like an option for us to go do every single week. So it was really refreshing to be around that energy. It was awesome.
Good. And it still felt massive, even though there's so many different stages and so many different things going on that people can go to. It still is just overwhelming.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm not
it's
surprised, but yeah,
it's big.
yeah.
It's big. Well, I mean, I guess that's probably a good place for us to just dive into the topic at hand today. What do you think?
Yeah, which I saw an article that Coachella is basically for trust funders now. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on that. It was just like talking about how expensive it is and that it's really more about, getting content and that people are taking out loans to buy tickets and stuff like that. That's what I saw. I didn't even read the whole article. I just saw that.
I definitely have a few things to say there, I guess. So the whole loan thing, taking out loans. So what they're doing, Coachella specifically is doing a payment plan option. So tickets are $599, $600 for the weekend. So that's 3 days of jam-packed music from like 1 p.m. to 1 a.m. So 12 hours of music, insane lineup of bands. But that's just the base price because you're paying for camping, hotels, transportation there, food, which an average item for anything, there's $20 per any item. Like a drink is $20. A sandwich is $20. A soda is like $7 or $8. Water,
Yeah.
thankfully, was only $2.
Oh, that's good.
I know, right? Like they're doing it right. They don't want people to faint.
Right.
But Coachella was doing a payment plan, and it's a no interest payment plan. It's just a one-time fee of like $41 to let you spread it across the entire year and
Oh, wow.
pay in like in increments. So I actually think that, you know,
So
of
it's
all
like
the
$50
options,
a month.
say again.
$50 a month.
Yeah, right.
I mean, they should shorten it.
I
I guess
yeah.
it's interest free, but $50 a month is not that much if you're going to Coachella.
So a lot of people did choose that option, and that's just for the GA wristband. If you're going to do VIP, it's twice the price essentially. So you're paying closer to $1,500, and then they have artist wristbands and whatnot. And those, if you were to try to buy an artist wristbands, you're in like the thousands and thousands of dollars, like closer to 10 grand per wristband.
Wow.
But and there's other ways that you can kind of make it work for you too, like if you get one of the glamping tents. But people, I mean, it's outrageous. People will spend like 50 grand on a weekend or 30 grand on a weekend to go to Coachella. So to your point, yes, I agree with that sentiment. But I will say that weekend 2 is a little bit cheaper than weekend 1, and
Interesting.
it
That makes
is.
sense, though.
Yeah, weekend 2 is meant for the real music fans. And I can say without a doubt that real music fans were there, and it just felt good. There's a lot of fans there. There's a lot of artists that were actually on stage making comments like, "You guys are a lot louder than weekend 1," or "Thanks, you're more present than weekend 1."
Interesting.
So, yeah. So, and it's hard because the influencer culture that we live in right now, it's just the pictures and I was here, I did this, I saw that, and I think that people are so caught up with taking content and showing where they are, what they're doing, that it loses what Coachella is all about, and it's about the music.
Yeah, definitely. And there's a lot of it to see.
Yeah. Do you want me to tell you who I saw?
Yeah, I do. I also want to know, did you run into friends there? I know there were some Sun Valley people or like part-time Sun Valley people that were there that I was seeing online.
Yeah. So, ran into some Sun Valley people, ran into friends, made some new friends. Um, Actually, like probably the craziest thing wasn't even at Coachella. It was on the flight from Salt Lake City to Palm Springs. So my best friend from college and I lived together pretty much most of college. Then we moved to New York. We lived together in New York. We stopped living together because at that point we were like in a what's that term where like you're practically you could start filing taxes together because you've lived together so long.
Oh, you're talking about common law marriage.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
We were on the brink of that. It's like we've lived together too long. I think it's time for us to have separate, like different roommates.
How long do you guys live together?
Like years between college and New York, like 5 years, 6 years, like a long time.
Yeah, common law marriage is usually 7 in the states that acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Idaho does not, just so you know.
It's, she's a lawyer, folks. You gotta love it. And so we split up and started living with different roommates. We split up. And
Divorce.
so she
common law divorce.
Yeah, exactly, right? And so she started living with somebody else, as did I. And the girl that she was living with became one of her good friends. And anyways, so I'm on this flight, and I'd heard about this girl, and she had heard about me. And I'm sitting on this flight. I'd had a couple too many drinks at the airport before I got on the flight, as we've done before.
Yes.
And I was flying with one of our mutual friends, and so it was she and I went and got a couple margaritas before hopping on the second flight. I was with Amanda. And so I get on the flight, I sit down, I'm like, do you mind if I put this under the... I was just all over the place. I was disheveled, and I was trying to put my bag up, and I got on the plane a little on the late side, and I was like, oh, well, there's not as much room on this plane. I was talking to myself like I'm kind of doing right now. Anyways, so I finally get myself settled, and we strike up a very simple conversation, and I make mention of like, oh, yeah, I used to work in music. And I think I said, I'm going to go to Coachella for, a couple days. She said, well, I work in music. And then conversation continued. She was Marissa's roommate.
Oh, wow.
And so she's like, wait, you're Nani?
Small world, man.
It was such a small world. And so we ended up just gabbing the rest of the flight all the way
you guys were next to each other.
Literally next to each other,
Wow.
5A and B.
Yeah. Wild.
And yeah, Comfort Plus, baby. It was the best. And so sat next to each other and talked and just caught up about life and what she's working at YouTube. And she was here. She was on her way to Coachella as well. And yeah, it was just kind of the best small world situation. But yeah, Coachella's so big though. I did not see a ton of friends though.
Fair.
So I was hoping to see more. I didn't see as many as I thought I might. But, I also didn't go for the entire time. So full disclaimer, I got hooked up. I got a free pass from an old boss of mine. And I feel very fortunate for it because I know that, like you said, these passes are not inexpensive.
Well, just the event itself. Yeah. I mean, once you add everything up, like you were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I still spent hundreds of dollars just Ubering there and, grabbing a drink, grabbing whatever here and there. It adds up really fast.
Yeah, you got to eat. You got to drink.
Exactly. And I was having spritzes in your honor.
Ugh, I love a spritz.
I love a spritz. So I started off on Friday. So I went to Friday and Saturday. I did not go to Sunday. So I did not go the day that Post Malone played. And you and I talked about it maybe on the radio show or maybe on this podcast, I can't remember, but we were saying all along that Saturday was like the emo day, like the alternative rock day, because that's when a lot of like Jimmy Eat World, Green Day,
Was Green Day Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday.
Okay, gotcha.
So I started off with Lola Young, who she's become very TikTok famous, right? And
she was vomiting. I think that was the first week, though.
Yeah. She came into her own on the second week, I will say. Very.
Let me clarify if you didn't know. She was sick, but she still had to, she was like, I'm going to perform at Coachella. So she did run off the stage and vomit at least one time that I know of during her first weekend set.
Yeah. And
so you saw her in better shape, I'm sure.
Oh, way better shape. And I don't know why she was sick. It could have been heat because weekend one was hot.
Yeah.
Like real hot.
Yeah.
But so I caught like the second half of her set, which was really good. A lot of people in the crowd are like saying, like she's the real deal, which I would agree with that. Her voice was impeccable. She did not give 2 cents about anybody's opinion. It was awesome.
that.
She's wearing like a bikini and like weird. Her outfits were out there. A lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of mixed opinions on her outfits.
Yeah. Also, because she's not a stick thin person. That's why she's getting a lot of mixed opinions about her outfits.
Exactly. And I'm just like, you know what? You go get it, girl. Live your best life.
Yeah. She's got a great voice. She's rocking it.
Yeah. So she was great. I saw Marina, which formerly was Marina and the Diamonds. So I saw a little of her set. She was on the main stage, very poppy, kind of electronic, fun. Then I saw Joe, which is spelled DJO, and he was one of the reasons I was going.
I watched some of his videos today. It looked like he was having a good time performing.
Yeah,
we should say that. Sorry, it's just that Coachella is live streamed.
Yes.
During the event, and then also like I know the next morning they would do just like replay it, and then you can obviously go on YouTube now and watch all the performances too. So
which you should, like, people should.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody realize, like, there's a large population in the United States that does not realize that they can have their own version of Coachella from their home, which is lovingly deemed Couchella, because you just sit on your couch and watch them. You have the best view from your home.
Absolutely.
You frankly probably have the best sound from your home.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
and it's climate controlled.
You have the best temperature from your home.
and free snacks and drinks.
Yeah, very inexpensive, comfy seats. That might be your best bet. And I would say that Coachella is now made for the TV.
Yeah.
It truly is. They do a very good job of producing the live show for people physically there, but boy, is that experience on the internet. It's really good. So I'm glad you tuned in, because I know you did, right? You tuned in to a couple things.
I think the only thing I really saw live was Green Day, but then I've watched stuff on YouTube since. Like today, I watched some of the Joe, right? It's just Joe, right?
That's Joe, yeah.
Yeah, I watched some of his. And the Busy Being Basic song that you introduced me to, I watched that performance. That's a fun, good song.
He's so good. Yeah, he's so good. His crowd was huge. Then I went and saw a little bit of 3-6 Mafia.
Ooh, nice. How was that?
It was very large, and in like the hip hop way, it's really annoying when not all hip hop artists do this, but a lot of hip hop artists do it, where they just like they do these remixes. So you get like 90 seconds of Stay Fly or Stay High, whatever the song is, their big famous one. And then they go into the next thing. So it's these remixes. It's just, it's not enough. And so they kept going in, they had hype men on stage that were like, yeah. And they go into the next song. I'm like, wait, you didn't perform the whole song. Go back to that song and do the whole one. So it wasn't my favorite set, but it was very nostalgic, and the crowd also was huge. It was the same stage that Blink-182 performed on.
Oh, great. Okay.
So kind of a lot of these are kind of shed-like buildings where they're at like a half of a circle, and they just go from ground to ground. They're like huge airport hangar-looking type venues. So there's shade because it's so freaking hot here. It's so hot. And in the sun, it's even hotter, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
Then I went to go see Benson Boone, which I wasn't planning on, but I heard him from afar, and I was just completely drawn in.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't really know his stuff, but I think I like him like a lot. Like I like his voice. I think he's just doing what he wants to do, and I love that.
Yeah. And he's young, so he has a ton of energy, but I really feel like he does not take for granted the platform that he has and the rise to success that he's had, because he jumped off stage, ran the entire length of the barricades, giving everybody a high five.
Whoa.
That had to have been like close to a mile. I'm not even joking. Yeah. That, like, for an artist to do that, I think is really, really cool. And it just makes him seem so humble and relatable and of the people. And I think that's going to take him a long way. Obviously his voice will, but I think that attitude gets
definitely seen. Well, he was doing flips on stage and stuff, I saw.
Yeah.
And did you see him perform Bohemian Rhapsody?
I did.
When he brought out Brian May, or was that the first weekend?
First weekend, he brought out Brian May. The second weekend, he brought out a cutout of Brian May.
the same, I guess. Brian May is like the original guitarist from Queen. Let's just clarify that that came out and performed or played guitar during Bohemian Rhapsody, and then also during Beautiful Things, I think, in the first weekend.
Yeah. But I thought that was a cute little nod because all the special, like not all, but a lot of the special guests come out weekend one, not weekend two.
Sure.
But they still had a lot of special guests weekend two. Then I saw Tyla. She has a couple like big TikTok songs, more R&B. I just watched a couple songs of hers from afar because I was on my way to go see Artemis, who I love. And they were on a smaller stage. You would have loved it, Katie. It was so good.
Artemis.
I've played them on the show before.
Okay.
And they're kind of like they would play Warped Tour. Like they're that kind of band. They're definitely in our realm of emo and adjacent.
Okay.
And then after Artemis, except the only thing that I didn't love is the sound of Artemis was so loud.
Yeah.
And so thankfully I had my earplugs, I have those custom ones with filters on them that are life-saving.
Right.
I pretty much wore those actually the entire time. PSA, please protect your ears.
Yeah, seriously.
And then I saw Mike Snow. If we want to talk about nostalgia, that was so nostalgic. Do you know?
Remind me.
They have, I don't want to start singing, but it's like, ooh, 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 ooh. No?
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I'm looking them up right now.
Yeah, they are, I'd say like 2007
they were formed.
Yeah, 2010 I feel like was maybe the rise of Mike Snow, maybe 2009, and they had just huge hits.
Okay.
And are you
Swedish indie pop?
Yeah, they're really good. But they played all the hits and it was fun to watch that. It took me back to kind of college, really.
Yeah.
And then after Mike Snow, I saw Missy Misdemeanor Elliot.
Amazing. I mean, I would love to see her, truly.
Yeah.
I think she would put on a great performance. And she has so many hits, and that would be nostalgic for sure.
Yeah. It felt a little cheesy at times, I will say. But boy, did she put on a performance. And she did so many costume changes. I was dying. The only thing that I could have lived without is the number of helmets. She wore helmets with like every outfit, and I don't know why she was wearing helmets. There was like a bike helmet and then a different bike helmet. And
I wonder if they had fans built in.
to keep her cool.
I mean, like, I feel like that's a move, right?
Yeah, it's like bedazzled helmet. I'm like, what is going on with this?
That does seem like a weird choice.
Maybe just part of the style, but she was so good, and like you said, she has so many hits. It's like, where do you even begin with that?
Yeah.
And then I think you pronounce it Catriel and Paco Amoroso, and they are like a Latin duo, and it's totally out there. It's kind of alternative with hip hop and electronic bits, but there's also a ton of Latin influence in the music. And it was one of the most iconic performances I think I've ever seen, because the two of them like sat for a good half of their performance. That was the rowdiest crowd that I experienced. It was awesome.
Why were they sitting?
I don't know.
That's just what they do?
Because they can. I think they just have such a big presence that they're like, yeah, we're gonna. And they obviously they moved around too, but they were really good. It was back in that same tent where I saw Artemis, so it was super loud. But it was beautiful. They had chandeliers in this tent. Yeah, it was really good. And then I closed out the day with Gaga.
Oh, I didn't see any videos, I don't think, from Gaga, but I heard she was incredible.
Incredible. The difference between weekend one and weekend two, the main difference I'd say is that she had mic issues in weekend two. And so
well, I can relate to that.
Technical issues. And so she worked through it. They gave her a handheld mic. She sang through that for like the first maybe 10 minutes. And then she sat down at the piano and was able to go back to her headset mic. And she said, thank you guys for bearing with me. At least, I sing live. And, we had some technical issues, and then went on with the performance, and it was great. And so that was day one.
Good.
And
wow, that was just day one. Okay.
That was day one. I know I need to go faster because I don't want this to be like the longest thing ever. Day two was shorter. So I saw Medium Build, who you and I both really like, but I don't know if you even do you know who I'm talking about when I say medium build?
I don't think I do.
He has a song with Winnetka Bowling League and Dawes that you and I both.
Oh, you've played that. Okay.
Yeah. It's a great song, and it talks about Brand New and Jesse
Yeah.
in the song. And so he just has one of the most epic voices. I'd say that he was one of the best voices I heard all weekend. Please go listen to Medium Build. They're amazing. And then I saw Ed Sheeran. That crowd was way too big for the stage he was on. He played at 3 p.m., which is obviously he's a headliner. To play at 3 p.m. was what happened is a couple people canceled and dropped out of Coachella.
Okay. That's what I thought. Yeah.
And so he was one of the fill-ins, and he filled in early in the day, which is cool because it brought more people into the festival earlier. So hopefully more music discovery happened.
Yeah.
But the crowd was insane for his. You couldn't even see in if you didn't have like a decent pass, you could barely see unless you got there really early.
Right.
And then from Ed, I went to Jimmy Eat World.
How was that?
Oh my God, it was so good. I just sat there smiling the whole time. Like I didn't even really move. I just was like staring in awe. And I was, a stone's throw away from them. I was right up front, which was awesome. And I took some video, which did I send you some of it?
No.
Oh, I thought I did. I'll have to send you some, and then we'll have to post some because it's really, they're so good. I think the lead singer's gotten better looking with age.
Okay. All right.
Hot take. The lead singer of Jimmy Eat World, better looking with age. For
He's
sure.
a babe.
I'm going to call him a babe.
All right.
I don't know if he's married or not, but he wasn't wearing a wedding ring. Why do I notice these things? Because I'm single.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, they sounded amazing. Haven't skipped a beat. So humble, so thankful that the crowd was there. What you would expect from an awesome emo punk. Well, they're not punk, but like just an awesome alternative rock emo band.
They're like one of the like flagships or one of the OGs, I guess I would say, of like pop punk emo world.
You say like they're second wave emo, right?
I think they'd probably be classified as second wave. Yeah. I'm not an expert in the waves, but I think that's probably what it would be.
And then it was so fun because I met a new friend there. Her name's Jules. She lives in Canada, in Toronto, and she and I totally just have made a new friendship because we were both just having such a geek out fest for Jimmy Eat World that we ended up going to a couple other shows together. It was kind of cute. I told her that too. I was like, "Is it just me, or does he look like better? Does he look better than he ever has before right now?" And she's like, "No, he's definitely cute." I'm like, "Okay, cool."
Definitely cute.
And then saw like a blip, truly a blip, maybe like a song of T-Pain.
T-Pain.
Which the man is so humble. Like he had one of the biggest crowds of the entire festival.
Wow.
It was
Really?
crazy. People lost their minds.
Huh. That's kind of surprising to me.
I know, right? I think it's like a resurgence with like a younger generation.
Interesting.
I know, right? And then I went and saw Sam Fender, which you know how much I love Sam Fender. Saw him in Seattle, had to go see him at Coachella. So went and saw him, and he sounded amazing. I went in the pit for him and was maybe 7 rows back, and also got some really good footage. So we'll share that on our socials. But he's just amazing. I don't know what else to say. Like, I'm just such a fan of his, and I want him to blow up in the United States because he's already so big in the UK.
How was his crowd size?
It wasn't that big, honestly. Okay. So it was the same stage that Ed Sheeran technically opened up for Sam Fender. So I'd say he probably had a couple thousand people. Okay. Which isn't small, but for that stage at his time slot, it probably should have been like twice as big, maybe 3 times as big. Yeah.
But good for you as a viewer.
Great for me. Yeah. I loved my experience. The only thing that I wish I would have done is he has this song that's like so punk, and I wish I would have started a little circle pit, but I didn't. Mostly because my feet hurt.
Fair enough. Yeah. And I know you're going to see him again very soon, so we'll have to do like a full comparison of the 3.
Oh, yeah. That would be fun.
But I'm glad you were able to see him again after, your many failed attempts.
So many failed attempts. I'm 3 for 3 now, right? So I missed 3. Hopefully I'll get to see 3. Okay, I'm going to end this real fast. So then The Weeknd was doing a big takeover of the famous Ferris wheel at Coachella. And so
okay.
he, they were like giving out T-shirts and they did these installations on the inside of the Ferris wheel. So I went and took a ride in the Ferris wheel, it was a cool little thing. Ed Sheeran created a pop-up pub at Coachella. So I didn't go into it, but it was the secret little doorway and he did a little secret performance in there. And then I saw a little bit of Charlie XCX right before I was leaving. So, like, literally a hot second of her, too. That crowd also absolute insanity. Like, it's probably a close tie between Charlie XCX and T-Pain because those crowds were insane.
Wow.
And then, the only other thing that I'll say about Coachella is the art installations, the food. Like they do a really nice job because at the end of the day, you're still at a carnival, right? Like you're still in a dirt lot or a parking lot or whatever. You're eating food from a tent that's being made in a tent. It was cool because like one of the famous sandwich places from Florence, Italy, like they were there making sandwiches, or like there was really good hand pulled street noodles from. I think they were like Szechuan. I can't remember exactly, but like hand-pulled noodles. Just the food scene was so good there. They had Korean hot dogs. They had my favorite sugar-coated candy on a stick that I had so much of when I was in Japan. It was really cool that there was so much pride taken in the food scene there, but also the art. Like the art was so cool. These huge installations were everywhere. And there was one place, Do Lab, it's like the electronic like EDM, one of their stages. And they had all of these kind of sail type fabric hanging down, and the colorscape was pretty much the sky, a sunset sky. It was so beautiful.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah. So I don't know. All in all, I'd say that Coachella is very much for the youngsters. It's better the younger you are.
The youngsters, that makes us sound very old.
The younger you are, the better, because you are walking so much, you are standing so much. It's super hot. You're in the elements.
I mean, I think festivals in general are generally for the youngsters.
True.
So.
Although one of the festivals you introduced me to, like that is an amazing festival.
Oh, yeah. Highway 30 Music Festival in Filer, Idaho.
But like that.
We do that one right. Yeah. But it's also a smaller one, and that makes a huge difference. And we have a great camping spot with shade and close bathrooms and kiddie pools and, running water and all those things.
You have the creature comforts. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but even just to get into the festival, you have to walk like a mile. So it's just the one thing that my little PSA, comfortable shoes, and go in with a mindset that you're going to be walking a ton and you're going to be around a ton of people, but you're still going to have a great time. Like they put a lot of money into that festival and you can see it. So yeah, it was really fun. I'm glad I went. It was worth it. Obviously, it was very worth it because it was not, I didn't pay for the pass. What?
Do you want to go back?
In the right setting.
Yeah.
I think it just has to be the right setting.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Did you see Green Day or no?
I did not.
Okay. Because that's what I saw the most of on YouTube and live streaming.
Yeah.
And I'm not even a huge Green Day fan. It just happened to be one night we were at home and I was like, oh, let's turn it on. And I don't even know who's playing. And it was Green Day. So we watched it for a while. And then I've watched some videos since. They just put on a good show. And I mean, they've got so many major hits. But did you see kind of the drama between Green Day and Charlie XCX?
Yeah, she was like Mrs. should have been headliner sash.
Yeah, because she was right before them. And yeah, she wore a sash first weekend, I think, that said like Miss should be a headliner. And then the Green Day drummer posted a picture on Instagram wearing a sash that said actual headliner, which I thought was funny. And then weekend 2, Billie Joe Armstrong, the singer, was like asking to borrow somebody's hat in the crowd, and it was her like green, I think, Brat hat. And so he wore that on stage for a bit. So they're just like poking fun at each other, and that was kind of nice to see. Also, did you see that I for some reason I know the most about Green Day, but Flavor Flav came out on stage in the Punk Bunny costume, which is like Green Day's kind of mascot, and they have like Punk Bunny coffee, which I didn't even know about. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. I did know Flavor Flav came out though.
Yeah, he's just vibing. Flavor Flav.
Flavor
man.
Flav, he just does not care.
Yeah.
He's just living life, and I kind of love that about him. I did see that Billy Joel Armstrong also went and played with the Go-Go's earlier in the day too.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. And it's funny you said Weekend One was hotter, so that's when we turned it on to watch it live.
Mm-hmm.
And we were my friend Alicia was with me. We were watching the drummer just sweat. And he was pale, and we were like, he's going to pass out. And we just kept saying that. We're like, he's not doing well. Somebody get him some water. Somebody get him a fan. Get him something. And then I watched videos from Weekend 2, and he did not look like he was in that rough of a shape. Like, he was struggling Weekend 1.
Somebody put some electrolytes in him.
His name is Trey Cool, or like that's what he goes by. I'm sure that's just his stage name, but it's Trey Cool.
It's so epic.
Yeah, I learned a lot about Green Day.
There's a couple other, I can't remember who they are, but there's a couple other names out there that it's like their artist name, and then I realized that that's also their actual name, which, yeah, it's like a Trey Cool though.
Yeah.
Don't know if he changed that himself or if that was a given name to him from his parents, but either way, Trey Cool.
Trey Cool. He's also from England, or I don't know. He's not American. I know that.
Okay.
Well, I'm so glad that you shared your Coachella experience and were able to make it, because it was kind of last minute, I know, for you.
Well, yeah, and that was the whole thing, is that this trip was meant to see family, not to go to Coachella, and it just all worked out really nicely, and I'm very thankful for that. And I would do Coachella again for sure, but like I said, you have to go into it with the right mindset and make sure that like it's bands that you really want to see, because again, it's not necessarily for the faint of heart. Like, you got to be ready to go. And if you're going to spend that kind of money, you know?
Yeah. 3 days in a row would be even more draining. I'm sure you felt pretty drained after 2.
I have a blister. Yes, I do.
Yeah. Got to wear some, nice shoes. Like you said, comfortable shoes.
Comfy shoes.
Well, what's your emo lyric of the day?
I know. I was like, we should probably get into that, because I feel like I've talked so much. So thanks for letting me have a monologue about Coachella. Hopefully it was slightly interesting.
It was. Absolutely.
So my emo lyric of the day has to do with Coachella, and it's Artemis, and it's their song, If You Think I'm Pretty. And the lyric, I think, is kind of a universal sentiment. I think it's a little emo, but it's also like a rule of life in general. And so, again, it's Artemis, and If You Think I'm Pretty, and please listen to that song because it's so good. But it goes, nothing that I need to say that hasn't been said. I don't need an apology. Just show me instead.
I like that.
Kind of like, put your money where your mouth is. Like,
yeah.
Don't keep saying it. Just show me. Like, just do it.
Actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
I love that. Can you say it one more time?
So it says, nothing that I need to say that hasn't been said. I don't need an apology. Just show me instead.
Love that.
I know. I love that too.
Good one. By Artemis.
Artemis.
I don't think I know that song, but I will listen to it.
Yeah. I have a feeling you might have a better one though.
Well, we'll see. So since I watched so much Green Day, Coachella, I chose a Green Day lyric.
Oh, hell yeah.
I decided to be a little saucy and go with American Idiot because it just feels very relevant. And, that song came out in 2004, by the way.
Wild.
But I'm just feeling very much like we're all American idiots. So I also think it's interesting. I've learned recently that a lot of people don't know that Green Day is a political band. And they're not a political band, but they're a political band.
But they're very loud and proud about standing up for the man, standing up for the right thing, standing up for what they believe in.
Yeah.
So how do you not know that about Green Day?
I don't know. And maybe I just I saw something online about that, but I saw something that people were surprised that Green Day was taking political stances. And I was like, they have a song called American Idiot released in 2004. This is pretty common for them.
Can't be
also
a little.
I should shout out. They bring people up on stage. I think at every show is what I've gathered, and they brought like multiple people up on stage at Coachella, which I think is really cool of them.
Did you see that girl singing with him? It was so cute. She had like fishnets on
and playing guitar.
Again, I feel like when you show that you're humble and you're with the people and you appreciate your fans and you know how much they love you and like that love is shared both directions, it goes miles. Like that.
It does.
Yeah. It makes me.
They brought up a
to
girl
cry.
to play guitar. They brought up a couple girls. I feel like we're both wearing fishnets that I'm thinking of. So I'm not sure if we're thinking of the same one. But one of them that came up to play guitar, they gave her the guitar too. Like she kept that. Yeah. So the lyric I chose from American Idiot, like I said, it's a little saucy, but whatever. And I also want to point it out because they've changed the lyric in their live performance. But I'll read you the original lyric and then tell you how it's changed if you don't already know. But the lyric is, "I'm not part of a redneck agenda. Now everybody do the propaganda and sing along to the age of paranoia." I was like, it's a great lyric. But now they say, when they perform it live, "I'm not part of a redneck agenda. Now I'm sorry, I messed that up already. They say, "I'm not part of a MAGA agenda," is what they say when they perform it now. Now everybody do the propaganda and sing along to the age of paranoia. And it was timely then, obviously, in 2004.
Timely
but it feels
now.
even more timely now.
Yep.
And the lyrics in this entire song are pretty awesome and just about the media spewing propaganda and controlling how we're thinking and people just like being sheep basically and following along.
Well, I can say without a doubt that you win this week's
Really?
lyric of the day. Oh, hell yeah. Are you kidding? No, you can't. You can't argue that lyric. Those are the lyrics that Green Day have. They're like kind that'll go down in history because they're written with just such like strong footing,
Yeah.
So
I almost chose, part of the intro is, and this is going to be explicit, but I almost chose, "And can you hear the sound of hysteria, the subliminal mind fuck America?"
Oh my God.
I almost chose that. But thanks so much for talking about Coachella. Maybe I'll make it there someday. I also, the older I get, the less inclined I am to go. But it does sound like fun. And, they've had Blink headline and Green Day headline, and that certainly makes me want to go more. But they also probably don't go on till like midnight.
So there's that. You're not wrong. The headliner goes on at like 10:40. So yeah, I too was like, this is a little late for me.
Yeah, because then you got to go home after that.
Yeah, home, and you have to wait, and don't forget you have to walk a mile to get to the Uber rideshare area, and then you can finally go home and get stuck in traffic.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
Sounds like fun.
It's a lot. Well, congratulations on your win. It is a very good. It's a very good lyric.
You had a very good one too, but you're the judge, so I can't argue.
Well, in your honor, it only seems like it makes sense to play your favorite.
I mean, it's a great song.
You also just know this song immediately when it comes on.
Yeah. Well, too bad, because we are.
So good. So good. All right, well, happy Wednesday. We'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning into the Emo Hour. What else, Katie?
Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at the Emo Hour. And yeah, tune in next week. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.